A very good evening to one and all. I, Bhakti Shravak, welcome Mrs. Suma Shirur to Enthusia Live, an initiative by Enthusia VJTI. I feel honored to have such an opportunity to be the host for today. VJTI was established in 1887 and has continued its proud legacy of being a premier institution in India and producing one of the finest minds. Enthusia by VJTI has been proficient in providing a platform for sports enthusiasts of different fields. COVID pandemic has forced us to stay at our homes, but nevertheless, this hasn't stopped us from organizing an online sports fest filled with fun and excitement. Our guest for today is Mrs. Suma Shirur ma'am. She is a former international shooter who competed in the 10-meter air rifle event. She is a joint world record holder in the event, having scored maximum of 400 points in the qualification round, which she achieved at the 2004 Asian Shooting Championship in Kuala Lumpur. In 2003, she was awarded the Arjun Award by the Government of India. She is currently the high performance coach of the Indian junior rifle shooting team. She is also the coach of 2020 Paralympics Women's SH1 10-meter rifle gold and Women's SH1 50-meter three-position rifle bronze medalist Avani Lekhara. Ma'am is presently the national high-performance coach of the junior rifle team. The session to be followed will enlighten the young minds of VJTI and will help them in their future endeavors. Handing it over to you, ma'am, and post this, we're going to have a short Q&A session.
Thank you, Bhakti. And first of all, thank you for this invite. And it's always a pleasure for me to interact with young India. And first of all, congratulations that even through the pandemic and the times have been so tough, and despite the lockdown for the last 2 years, you've kept your event alive. So I must congratulate all of you on that, on your efforts, and I guess it's just a matter of time, and hopefully, next time you all can definitely do it on campus. But nevertheless, you've kept it alive, and I really want kudos to the entire team actually.
Thank you, ma'am.
And VJTI especially brings back a lot of memories for me, because I remember I was also a science graduate. I've gone through 12th and with all my science subjects. One of my very close friends, in fact, got into VJTI, and he's presently the financial advisor to the Oman government, and very successful. And all of you are really bright minds, and you have a great future ahead. So it really feels good to be here on this platform and have this chat with all of you. If I had to talk 2 years ago, probably my content would have been very different, I think. And but the last 2 years have really been a sea change in the way we live our lives, I think. And I would say it has been especially tough times for the young. It's not been easy. I think all of us pretty much, did the things that we were used to. We've been going to offices. I mean, I've been traveling with the team, and I've been doing my stuff. We've been stepping out of the house. But I think the toughest part of this entire pandemic has been the young. And they are pretty much, still locked up in their houses. They're not able to get out, and life changed, completely. And it's not easy. So I think, as I talk to all of you, I think, first of all, the fact that you all have survived the 2 years and you're here, in this event, I think you are already, I would say, a success in some way, because imagine being in your rooms, living indoors for 2 years is a very, very difficult challenge. And the fact that you all have survived and you all have kind of come out of it and looking forward to college and looking forward to these things, for me, you're already a success story. And in previous times, I think people always spoke mainly about, physical health and how important it is and how much we need to, keep our bodies fit, that will keep our mind fit. But I think this pandemic has also drawn a lot of attention to the mental health aspect. And this is something that is real. It's definitely there, and it's for real. And I have been the high performance coach of the junior rifle team for the last 4 years. So when I started in 2018, the enthusiasm of the young shooters came forward, the issues they had, 2018, 2019, and slowly how things started to, it's the same team, the same, the same performance, but, the issues were different. So it's been a very challenging time. And so especially, I feel that if I had to talk 4 years ago, it would have been different.
Definitely.
and and again, but I think slowly things are getting better. It's time to reset, and it's time to look forward. But as we look forward, I would definitely say that we need to start slowly. Thinking or believing that we can start where where we left off, I think is not really would not really be the right mindset. And as we go forward, I think we need to really start slowly. And as I think of this, starting slowly and looking forward, this is the time when I go back to my journey, as an athlete, as a shooter, where to begin with, talking a little bit about myself and my journey. To begin with, I think I was at that time in a period where I had that huge sense of failure, because after 12th, I was a PCM student, and all my friends, they got into VJTI and engineering, medical, and all kinds of all the professional courses. And here I was. I think I was intelligent. I think it's just that I didn't work hard enough. So. So, and here I was, I think in my group, I was the only one who was doing a graduation. And that's where, it was already hurting me. My self-image was low. And I was in a zone where I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know about my future. And slowly I said, let me take one day at a time, and let's see how things pan out, and trust, live with hope, don't give up hope. And so all I had was I was equipped with a mindset that said, take one day at a time. I was equipped with a feeling that and with a determination that give your best. Whatever you're doing, give your best. So, and I was always a sports person, I always enjoyed sport throughout school. I used to play all kinds of everything that was available in school: badminton, table tennis, kabaddi, kho-kho, athletic, name it. And, I'm there on the ground. So also when I joined college, there was this, I heard about NCC, and I said, okay, let's try, let's see what it is. And to my good luck, surprise, I was shooting in that. And in my very first round, I was like very good. And all my seniors said, you must, try a hand at shooting. So here I was, I went to the Rifle Association. And so in a moment, my life changed. And I found something, and I never knew at that point that would be my career. Yeah. But all I had at that point of time was this attitude that I'm going to do my best no matter what. I don't want to regret now that I didn't work hard enough. That regret was there because I always felt I didn't work hard enough. So then I said, as I go ahead, I don't want to regret that I didn't work hard enough. So I really put a lot of my energy and my, all my entire self into every day, making every day successful. And if at all I whiled away my time, I would have that fear that, oh my God, I can't waste time. And something drove me, something I think inside me, like, I want to prove myself, or I want to prove something to myself that, I'm better than what I performed. And So this is how my journey began. And the first time I held the rifle, I felt that, wow, I felt like, yes, this is what I want to do. This is where I belong. And I got that immediate sense of belonging. And in the very first state championship, I won, 3 medals. And that's where it was like a done thing, that this is what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
But again, I'm talking about a period of almost, let's say, 25, 30 years ago. And, at that point of time, shooting was at a very nascent stage. Nobody knew about sport as a career. Nobody knew that shooting is a sport. So everyone would ask me, कि आप क्या करेंगे? Are you going to join the army, navy, police join करेंगे? What are you going to do with this?
Yeah.
So it was a time when I had to actually explain to everyone that it's an Olympic sport, and deep inside I had a dream of going to the Olympics. How? I don't know. I just want to go, that's it, because nobody knew in those times. But I think with a dream in my heart, and with the willingness to work hard, I just put my best into every single day. And slowly, I think as I progressed, the path kind of in front of me unfurled in front of me, and slowly I started getting one thing at a time, and it just so I became the junior national champion. And then by the time I'd completed my graduation, and then it was uh, that was a deciding time. So then I said, okay, let me give myself a year. And if I make it to the Indian team, then, well, that is what I'm going to do. If not, then probably, I'll have to do something else for my bread and butter. So, but in that 1 year, yes, I made it to the team. And, and then it was like, then it was no looking back. And
Yeah.
I was in the team for about 25 years and won several medals at the Asian Games and Commonwealth Games. And I went to the Olympics in 2004, and I made a world record en route. And there was really absolutely no time to think. And it was just every day was a very happening time for me. And but life in sport has its own challenges. And but one thing I can say, that throughout from my journey, what I've learned, of course, apart from the medals and success, that is something that we all enjoy. But I think that's really just temporary, as long as the feeling of happiness was really only in the moment that I won it. But after that, it was really what stayed with me is the lessons I learned, the life lessons that I learned through sport, and that is what is the building block of my life, and that is how I conduct myself, and that is how I live my life, I think. And when I have to talk about the lessons that I've learned through sport in my life, I think the most important part for me was goal setting. And if I didn't know why I'm doing what I'm doing, then I never had the motivation.
Mm-hmm.
So if I don't know what I want, what am I going to be motivated about? So I think it's very important. I mean, even after having given up sport, or I continued as a coach. So even as a coach, of course, you have your you have your goals set, but generally, no matter what, I'm always into that frame that I have a goal, I work hard for it, and then and that's kind of become the way it's become part of me. And especially, I think for anyone doing anything, it's very important to have your goals set, and then, because that's the only way you're going to stay motivated to do anything that you want to. And once we have the goals set, I was always into a lot of planning and preparation, and this is what I think is the most important part. And of course, as youngsters, we don't want to do it. We just want to take things in our stride, jaisa hota hai, aise chalte rehne do. But I think there's a limitation to how far you can get that way, and somewhere you need to push yourself and get to the point where you make an action plan for yourself. And yes, sometimes some days are not good, some days are super, you have a super duper energy, but it doesn't matter. It's important to just stay on track and go with the flow. And this is where, because once you have an action plan, that's when you're determined. You're determined to, to make sure that you're able to fulfill all the things that you decide upon. And I think that gives us a little sense of success. So we're all looking for that feeling that of success in whatever way it may be. And those small successes that we achieve as we go ahead in our plans, these are the small successes that are going to lead to greater successes in your life. So I think definitely look for those small successes in your everyday life. Even just a small plan done, should make you feel like, thumbs up, I did something today, I achieved something today. Or a small act, a kind act, a little work, anything and everything should add to your feeling of being a little successful. And so for me, and it was always very, very important that I'm not competing with anyone else. It's so easy, as sportsmen, everyone think that, yeah, we are always competing. But let me tell you, right in the heat of the competition, in my mind, I have to be out of the competition, because when I am competing, it's about skill. It's about, having your skill flow out of you. So it's not about competing. It's about enjoying the moment. And when you're in the moment and when you're enjoying it, your skills, that's when your skills are going to come out and flow. So at that point of time, there was no, I was not competing with anyone else, because if I did that, it would just slow me down. It would take away my concentration from my own game. So it's very, very important that it's you against yourself. And though you might have an opponent, like, or in sport or in real life, of course, everyone, can be, if you choose to, you can be competing with anyone and everyone around you. So, it's really a choice that we make. And so it's so important that we're not competing with anyone else, and that we have our own journeys to enjoy, and we have our own paths laid out. And it's just a matter of when we find it, and until then, I think it's always me against myself. And I think that is something that I still try and live for. And it's, especially being in a game like shooting, I think somewhere it teaches you not to be very excited with success, and also not to be very sad when you've not achieved something, because shooting really is a mental game. And if I have to keep my focus and my concentration on the job at hand, if I have some good shots and if I get very excited, I lose my focus, and I'm bound to, falter and, have a bad shot. So, and having done that, I think I somehow, I don't know if it's good or bad, but somewhere I think I carry that with me. And, it's an attitude of not getting very excited if you have success, and not getting too hard on myself when you don't achieve failure, because when we achieve failure, because I think somewhere it's important to have that mid frame of mind that will keep you focused on what you're doing, on your skills, on the act, because at the end of the day, that is what gives you joy. It's not about success and failure. It's what you're doing, and it's the very act of being in the moment that gives one a lot of joy. And but being in college and pursuing a sporting career through my college, I had to do a lot of time management. And I think the juggling that I did at that point of time, 7 o'clock run for practicals, and then you can't even be 2 minutes late, otherwise you'll be standing out, and so taking the 5:30 bus, and then literally I had my day planned by the T because of the limited time I had. And so the time management that I did, that actually helped me through my life. And I think this is what is is something that I think youngsters need to learn. And the earlier you all start, the better it is. But I know it's easier said than done. But I think that is going to be the key to achieving to being able to accept bigger responsibilities in life. And I'm sure with the young India that I have here in front of me is has a lot of potential. And I think time management would be a very, very important key that is going to help each one of you take up larger roles and responsibilities that you will see that if we just see, you might feel that you can't do it. But once you put it down and manage your time better, there's space for so much more. So um, I have experienced that. And I've also heard from a lot of people that the busier I am, the more time I have, to do more things. So that's because you're managing your time so well. And I think that is also a very, very important part in our growing up lives. And that is something that my sport has taught me. And, I try to, manage it as well as I can. But again, having said this, I think it's important to remember that life is beautiful despite the pandemic. Things are opening up, and be gentle on yourself.
Yeah.
It's okay. Some days may not be the best, but you got to be gentle on yourself, because especially now it's each one of you is going through tough times, hard times, and it's important that you and your inner self work as one team, and you are there for yourself, and you are there encouraging yourself and picking yourself, so that you got to relearn things as we start, as we look forward to life. And it's important that we're comfortable in our own skin. I am comfortable with my own pace in life. And maybe others catch things quickly, maybe I don't, but it's okay. You got to be comfortable with yourself. If you are comfortable with yourself, the others around you will accept you the way you are. And so it's no point in worrying about because youngsters also have a lot of peer pressure. They do worry about what the others think. And so I think this is again a challenge that each one of you you have to face, and it's important that you start being comfortable in your own skin. And above all, enjoy your journey, as I always say, because you're not going to remember the degree that you achieve, but what you're going to remember are the little moments that have helped you be the person you will be, or the person you are. So when you look back, you're going to really remember those moments in your time in college, or when you're young, and these are the moments that you're going to keep with you. So even now, when I look back at all my sporting moments, I don't remember the medals. I remember all the other things that have gone through. So it is important to live those moments and treasure them, because and this is where they say that the journey counts, the journey matters, and I think it's time that you do it, and hopefully once the colleges reopen, I think you all can actually experience life in a different way.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much, ma'am. That was really inspiring, and those were some serious words of wisdom. Can we get started with our Q&A session?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So my first question for today is about how you gained interest in shooting during your earlier days. Like, despite your seniors telling you to try it out, other than that, what got you hooked there?
I think I found my passion ultimately, and like I said, the first time I held my rifle, I felt like this is what I want to do, and this is where I belong. So I think I believe that each one of us has a passion. It's only until we find it, until we know what it is. So I found my passion early, and I think I'm one of the lucky few who has also her passion as her profession. So I think, I found it early, and I think I've been lucky on that part.
That's fascinating. Moving on to the next question. You have been coaching successfully for so many years. In your experience, what are the qualities a coach should have?
I think one of the most important, coaches are basically teachers. And I think the most important thing is that basically they have to be good human beings. Yeah. And because it's important to understand the other person, it's important to have that empathy, it's important to have that compassion. Of course, we all have the drive for sporting success. You need to have that drive, but at the same time, it's important to understand that out of 10 10 athletes I have, not everyone is going to make it to the Olympics, and out of 10 maybe only one is going to make it. So you're still handling the other 9 who are going to have that feeling of failure at some point of time. Not failure exactly, but a feeling of their limitations at some point of time. But at the same time, it's understanding that, even if you don't make it to where you want to, that should not get their confidence down. So, it's important to keep their confidence and go, and take the positives from the sporting field so that they can use it in their life and look back with a lot of, positive memories. So I think it's very important to have the empathy and look at each individual, each athlete as an individual, as a human being first. Because a coach's job is not really, I think, restricted to sport. At the end of the day, I think it comes down to, we are making lives. And so it's very important to have that deep understanding of the athlete that you're working with.
Yeah. Thank you, ma'am. You were honored by the Shiv Chhatrapati Krida Puraskar in 1996 by the government of Maharashtra, which was a huge accomplishment, right? So what was your and your parents' reaction to it?
I think the Shiva Chhatrapati Award is by the government of Maharashtra is the first award, first recognition that it's the state recognition, and for an athlete that's the first recognition, and I think that was very important. And for me, after the award, it was kind of decided that this is what I'm going to do. It was like a green signal, a nod from my family, friends that okay, this is what she's going to pursue. So that kind of put a stamp that she is that shooting is my career and this is what I'm going to do ahead.
Okay, ma'am. You are inspiration not just to you are inspiration to everyone, but for women especially, it's really inspiring. So you have been in the field of sports since childhood. How do you think this field has led to the character development and made you the person you are today?
I think it's they say that sport builds character, and I completely agree with it, because there are various instances when you have to make decisions, and there are various times when some trying times, some maybe easy times, but at every step you have choices. And I think at the end of the day, life is, and my sporting career was all about the choices I made. Yeah. And making the right choice at every step was an important part. And it's not about, and standing up to it. And, once you make a decision, it's also important to stand up to the decision that you make. Yeah. And this is where I think it shows immense, immense character, and sometimes you may not have made the right one, but still you got to stand up for it. And these are small things that really help shape your character. And my sport has really made me who I am today. And like through sport, you learn to see life as a whole, because you see your bad times, you see times when nothing works, absolutely nothing works, but still you got to keep trying. You can't just leave that and say, okay, I'll do something. It doesn't work that way. So through my sport, I've really gone through very trying times, and that's when I have understood the importance of something called as resilience, in which no matter how bad it gets, I still have to find the strength to get up and again plan again and again, kind of rebuild myself physically, mentally, emotionally, in every which way for the next match. So I think this is the most important um, learning for me in sport, and this is where no matter what comes to me in life, or no matter what situations I faced in my sport, at the end of the day, I had to find the courage and the strength within me to again to stand up and again recollect and rebuild myself and prepare myself for the next match.
Thank you so much, ma'am. As we know, you founded the Lakshya Shooting Club in 2006 with the mission of live for the glory of game, strive for perfection, create and instill confidence with sportsmanship spirit. So, can you enlighten us about this mission?
So so I went to the Olympics in 2004, and I live in Panvel, and the shooting range was 2 hours from my house, so I used to travel too early every day. And in those days, of course, we didn't have the local trains or anything. I had to take the ST bus, and so it was literally 4 hours of travel time for me, and I did that for 10 years, all the way until I went to the Olympics.
Okay.
So, but that was only because I had this crazy desire inside me that I want to do it. I want to go to the Olympics. So I think it was that passion and it was that deep burning desire in me that made me do it, wake up every morning and do this. So after my Olympic, I was also in the finals. So after my Olympic appearance in the local club, we had our ex-MLA who had the Karnala Sports Academy, and he felt that I have this girl from my town who's gone from Panvel to Worli every day. She's made it to the Olympics. We must have a shooting range here. So he's the one who, so it was decided that in Karnala Sports Academy, we establish our club. So that is how Lakshya Shooting Place, found its, was founded, and we started. And then it so happened that I was the only shooter in the entire Navi Mumbai. So, I was the only one who had to actually start coaching. So this is how I got into coaching, even when I was at the top of my career. So, and then yes, I had some assistant coaches, but all of us together, we kind of we had this humble beginning called Lakshya Shooting Club. And but at that point of time, what I had in mind was. So my coaches live in Germany. So I used to go to Germany for my own training. So so whenever I went there, I would see that sometimes at the shooting range, I would have three generations: grandfather, father, child, all of them coming to the range, on a Sunday, and they do their sport and go. So somewhere I had that we don't have this culture here. And in my mind, I was like, I don't want to have like a academy. I want to have a club where, everyone can come and shoot. So this was my base, what do you say, vision when I started with the club, that sport is not just for competition, it's for all. So each one of us, you don't have to be the best, or you don't have to know how to play it. You can just go out there and play. You can just go out there and learn. So this was my vision at that point of time, and we started with so then slowly we had everyone coming into the range, and I'm very happy that my dream of having an entire family come to the range has turned true, and we do have these, grandfather, father,
Oh,
son.
that's amazing.
Generations coming and shooting on a weekend. But yes, what I'm waiting to see is a grandmother, mother, and daughter combination. So I think that's still.
Let's hope that happens soon.
Yeah, I hope so too. So this is how it goes. And there was a time when I used to go out, but today I take pride in saying that today I have a lot of shooters from around the country coming to Panvel, and in fact relocating here, staying here from all parts of India, right from Kerala, Assam, and Gujarat, and Himachal, and really, really entire from all parts. And I feel very good that we have this base here, and all this has come about only through honest work with a lot of passion, I think, and that's the only way that I think we could come up to this level. And so this is what Lakshya Shooting Club stands for, and we are here for all.
It definitely was a successful venture. So, on to my next question. If you weren't a professional shooter today, then which would have been your go-to career?
You know what? I personally have thought so much about this question, but I can't arrive at anything. I really don't know what I would have done, and I can't think of anything else except what I'm doing. And I guess this was my calling, and I've thought really hard, but I haven't been able to come to any answer to that question. So here I am.
That's how
Sure,
passionate
and
you are about shooting, right?
absolutely, absolutely.
So, how do you define failure and how can one overcome it?
Success and failure, they are going to come in waves.
Yeah.
You're never going to have success. So when you're successful, don't look down at those who have not been successful, because you are going to be in that boat at some point of time in your life again. So whilst you have success, enjoy it, but also stay grounded. It's very important to stay grounded. And when you when you have your failure, remember that this is not permanent. It's really temporary. It's just a matter of time when you will be on the next bus and on the next road towards, climbing the ladder of success. But don't let failures really pull you down more than what, it should be. And don't let success really take you in a high more than, what you can handle. So it's very important to have that even tone. And especially, I would say, again, coming back to the pandemic, I think it's become, extremely difficult for all you young children to handle this feeling of failure, or this feeling of not being, being in that phase where you don't know where you're going. So whatever I'm saying today, you might feel that it's a little more difficult right now through this pandemic. But like I say, be gentle on yourselves, and stay connected with your family and your friends. And each one of you is very, very important to the society. And so it's important to stay connected, and you will be able to handle failure. Having a team that supports you, and having a family and friends that support you, and it's just a matter of time. But definitely, I'd like to, in this matter, coming here, I'd like to add one point, that we have to understand that every time we have this feeling of failure or not being very successful, it's also an indication that we need to upgrade ourselves, or we need to learn something from this experience. And so it's important to take your upgrade your skills, and get on to the path of knowledge. And the more knowledge you have, of course, they say, the better it is. So apart from just, the fact that you are feeling bad, it's also important to use the time to, up your skills and up your levels of knowledge in some way so that you're better equipped for whatever you're doing, and it will help you achieve success in the near future.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Maybe that's why they say, never let success get to your head and never let failure get to your heart. Right.
Yeah, true.
So as we can see, shooting is still growing in India. So where do you see our Indian shooters in the next 5 years?
I think as far as shooting is concerned, the present is so beautiful. So the future is only going to be better. And did we ever imagine that we are going to have so many shooters going to the Olympics? Did we ever imagine we are going to have so many shooters who are top, ranked amongst the top in the world? But I think over time, systems have worked, and coaches have worked, shooters have worked, and we are part of the generation that laid the the foundation stones. I would say we are kind of the pioneers, and seeing the change and being part of the change it makes me feel very good. And yes, but looking at 5 years ahead, I would say definitely the pace has slowed down a little bit because of the pandemic. Sport has been badly hit, and 2 years complete shutdown. The ranges have closed, and I think definitely there has been a speed breaker of sorts, and it will take a little time until we are able to. I mean, I'm a realist, I'm being realistic, and so I think it might take a little more time to see what we had envisioned, would be 5 years from now. I think that we'll have to push it a little bit further, maybe at least 2 to 3 years beyond. And but I think the present is so wonderful. So we are only going to have more people, more shooters coming into the sport.
Pandemic has really affected us all in all sectors of our life.
Right.
So in Tokyo 2020 Olympics, India finished 48th on the medal tally, which is the highest ranking in over 4 decades. So in your opinion, what are the challenges faced by the athletes of today and how can they be tackled?
So every time we come to the Olympics, everyone is talking about the ranking, the medals, and what we do. But I think it's also important to look at the systems that we have in place, and are we really a sporting culture in our country? How many of us really do sport? Leave sport. How many of us even go for a morning walk? How many of us spend 20 minutes to do some activity in our everyday? So, well, I'm sure each one of you has your answers. And by that, you would know, are we really a sporting country? So, success in Olympics is a reflection of the sporting culture in our society.
Yeah.
So what we see is not just the athletes winning and losing, but what we see is, a reflection of our society. And but at the same time, all the athletes who choose sport as a career really have to do it against a lot of odds, because choosing sport is, walking into no man's land. You don't know what is the future. You don't know if you are going to get a job. You don't know if this is going to be a bread and butter. But each one of them embarks on the journey for sheer passion, for the love of the sport, for the love of the game. So first of all, I would say kudos to everyone who's actually doing it.
Yeah.
And then comes the journey of, Olympic success. And so a lot is being done today. We are much better today than what we were a few years ago. But definitely, it's a long way to go. And I think there's still lack of professionalism, and that is something that needs to come into sport, and professionalism at every level. So when we look at Olympics, if you look at what the other countries are doing and the level of preparation that the other countries, have, we are nowhere. I think it would be at least another 50 years until we get to that level. So without looking at these aspects, we are only looking at the medal and the medal tally. That doesn't make sense at all. So we really need to understand, we need to know that the other countries who are successful, how much are they putting and how much are they pumping into sport? The level of sports science that they use for their achievements, the amount of technology they are using, and apart from that, the amount of money they are pumping into the sport, and the kind of infrastructures they have, the kind of everything. So right from a grassroots level. So of course we are much better today than we were a few years ago. But I think to get that level of professionalism into the sport, I think we are still a long way out.
Thank you so much, ma'am. So did you receive any, blunt advice in your shooting career, but realize it later that it was the best one?
I had my first coach was Mr. Sanjay Chakravarti. He's no more, but there were two advices he gave me, and I still carry both with me, and they've both been so invaluable. And so he said, he told me early on that सुमा, अगर तुमको कोई बहुत तुम्हारी तारीफ करता है, आप दूर रहो उससे, because he's going to limit your, he's going to limit your thoughts in how far you can go. So don't let anyone around you really praise you to a level where you start feeling good. Just walk out, because you can be much better than what the other person envisions. So I think that was one of the best advices he's given me. And at the same time, it doesn't mean that you don't thank and accept the compliment. But but I think when you're starting off in your career, and if you're really happy with if you're not raising your demand levels, there's really a limitation to how far you can go. So this was something that I remember. And the other thing that he always told me was, आपको झांसी की रानी बनना पड़ेगा. So and that was so true. And because especially at the time when we started, you really have to fight through life. You need so much courage, and nothing is handed to you on a platter, and each one of us, we need to put up that fight. So I would give this advice to all of you here, कि आप सबको झांसी की रानी बनना पड़ेगा if you really want to go ahead and do anything. So keep that courage and be at it.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Those are some valuable lessons, and we have to fight our own battles at the end of the day. Since we have little bit time in our hands and our audience has been so interactive, we are going to take 2 or 3 questions from them. So the first question is from Aditi Khadse. As a coach, what characteristics do you think makes one an ideal player?
When I look at athletes, and when I talk about an ideal player, or someone who can do well in the times that they are on the range, the first quality I look at is a willingness to work hard. Because talent, yes, you can have talent, and you can go ahead, but if you're not willing to work hard, there's really a limit to how much you can go. But even if you're average talented, and if you are willing to put in that kind of hard work, I think there is you have a long way to go, because there are a lot of there are a lot of acquired skills, and if you're willing to put in that hard work, I think you can really acquire the skills and still be on top. So I would each one of us has that willingness to win, but how many have the willingness to work hard to win? That is what I would look for in a player that I work with.
Thank you so much, ma'am. So the next question to us is by Chirag. So what problems did you encounter while being a woman shooter?
While being a shooter?
Women shooter, yeah.
Women shooter. So especially the times when I started shooting, there were very, very few women shooters.
Yeah.
So we were just, I think, 6 or 7 in the state championship. We were 6, 7, national level hardly. So I would say that we really enjoyed a lot of attention. So so and plus we were all together as a group, as a team. So I think it was fun, and together I think we had a voice.
Yeah.
So on my own, I don't know if I would be heard, but together as a group, I think we had a very strong voice. So thankfully, because all of us, we 4, 5 of us were together, I always felt very strong despite being a woman in an arena that was male dominated at that point of time.
Yeah.
But because we were together, I think I really felt very empowered from early on. So as a woman in the shooting world, I don't think I really had much of an issue. But definitely, I think as a coach in the working world, I think definitely for a woman to get recognized, she has to work a lot more harder, I think. If because it's really, you have very few female coaches, and so and even in the admin everywhere, you see it's majorly male dominated. So for the same amount of work, I think a woman needs to put in a lot more effort to get that kind of recognition. That is still present in the working world, but I think that will also change with times. Like we changed the shooting arena, the sporting arena, and I'm sure we are the first ones who are in this field as well. So over time, I think there'll be a lot more recognition and
Thank you so much, ma'am. So last but not the least, what message would you like to give to aspiring shooters to grow in this field?
So, like I said, it's very important that yes, we all have ambitions, and we all want to have results. But what is very important for every aspiring shooter is to understand the importance of staying in the moment.
Yeah.
And because it's every moment of you that is going to create the result. So if you spend all your time dreaming and thinking about the results, you lose the focus and concentration on the process, and which is in the moment. So it's very important to give your best in every moment of your game, and results will follow. So don't run behind results, run behind the process, and being in the moment, results will follow.
Thank you so much, ma'am. That brings us to the end of a very enlightening session. We are really honored by your presence, ma'am, and we are very thankful. We hope you really enjoyed this. This is Bhakti Shravak signing off for today, and stay tuned for many more sessions. Thank you so much and have a great day, ma'am. We're also grateful for this amazing audience. Thank you.
Thank you.